Mike said it last month, that he's going to be stepping back. But we're not going to let him. But he will have a very reduced role. And he's done such an amazing job. And I'm sure that some of you even remember Lori Salvage.
Yes.
When she started this, and believe it or not, we've probably been going for about 12, 13 years. And you know, and I think a lot of good has come of it. And, you know, I'm sure that you've heard the saying, and it might be from scripture, but I'm not sure. But you give somebody a fish for a day, or give them a fish to eat for a day. You teach them how to fish, they eat for a lifetime. And that's been the yeah, and that's been the overriding thought that we have with this program. And that's why we bring in people from a variety of different places. I mean, one of my favorites, Pico. You know, people who might not be able to pay their bills for heat. And they came in with laptops and actually filled out the applications for the LIHEAP grants and stuff. So whatever way we can help everyone who needs the help, whatever we can do to help people, not just get out of a problem, but to thrive and to actually get ahead. That's the goal. And I think that we're making progress. I think we're going to continue with that goal. And with your help, we're going to make this better and better. And at some point, I'm hoping that you'll be able to help others get through some difficult times. And what we have in store for today, we have Mary from Independence Blue Cross. The topic for today is dealing with stress through the holidays. But it's not going to be limited to that. When I was talking to Mary out there, she's going to, you know, make this all inclusive. That as we deal with problems and challenges in our life, that we have the tools to help us get through that. And without me talking anymore, I'm going to turn it over to Mary from Independence Blue Cross, and let's welcome her with a little applause.
Conversational than just me, you know, talking at you to see what the needs are. So yeah, my name is Mary. My practice is called Mashana Yoga and Wellness. So we just celebrated our 7-year anniversary. I'm in the East Falls area of Philly, and I teach yoga and dance and meditation and sound healing. And really my whole life has been learning how to be as happy and healthy as possible. And so, yeah, I have a lot of tools and a lot of information that I can share. So to help guide the conversation, I just want to see what the needs are. And if you are feeling stress in your life, and again, we said that the topic was in the holidays. It can be related to the holidays or not. So just to see what the triggers are that might be causing stress in your life. And so we can talk through how to deal with that. And then I will do mindfulness. If you've heard of mindfulness, it's kind of like a buzzword, but I like to say that it's an oxymoron because it's mindful, but it's really about having your mind clear. And so yeah, to teach some techniques, breathing techniques and body relaxation and things that you can use to settle the nervous system, right? So we really know that stress is when the nervous system feels activated. So there's different tools that we can use to make our nervous system feel more relaxed and bring us back into that state of peace and homeostasis. So like to share. Yeah, I would love for most, if not all of you, to share just anything that makes you feel stressed in your life, and if you already have tools that you're using to deal with it. And again, this can be stress that you're feeling mentally, or maybe you even notice that you feel that stress in your body when it happens.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
Isn't part of what you teach or try to teach is sort of like mind over matter? In other words, you try to teach people, as you said, tools to help them cope with their with whatever issues they're having. So it seems to me that part of what you're doing is teaching people mind over matter, how to do it themselves.
Right, that, yeah, regardless of what's happening on the outside, can we have the tools that we need to help ourselves feel centered and calm and grounded and not get flustered?
Also, part of it, I think, I've come to believe, because my one daughter of the two I have suffers from depression, and it came from my now ex-wife's side of the family. They all suffer from depression going way far back, in family history. So I think part of it's genetically based.
It is, and I also feel that some level of anxiety and depression is actually totally normal part of the human experience. Like, being a human, we're not gonna just feel happy all the time.
Well, I can go back and say that I don't suffer from depression because I don't let myself, but one of my times laid off, my wife didn't like my behavior at that time, so she had us go to a doctor, and he gave me pills for it. And I took one pill and decided I was never going to do this again. And like as I told her, I called this situational depression. I don't know if that's a real term, but I called it situational depression. And I told her, look, I'm suffering from depression, not severe, but still depression.
Yes.
But it's situational. As soon as I get another job, it'll go away. And eventually I did get another job, and yes, it did go away.
Right.
So sometimes the situation can change as well.
Yeah, and again, so yeah, just to expound a little on what I said, I do think that, some level of anxiety and depression is just a normal part of the human experience, and that our moods and everything are gonna change day to day, throughout the day, through different time periods in our life when we might be going through something challenging. But yeah, there definitely is.
Do you try to avoid drugs whenever possible?
Yeah, so yeah, there is the point, right, where it becomes like clinical depression or an anxiety that's not manageable through therapy, through all of these other techniques. I do believe in using medication as like a last resort, right?
Yeah.
After we try all of these other things, because they can have side effects. I mean,
Yes.
they often, they
And
pretty
also
much always have
sometimes they're
some
very
side
hard to get
effects.
off of once you get on them.
And
Yeah.
yes, and then once you start taking them, it can be very hard to get off of them as well, and that can have its own side effects.
So you'd rather teach people the skills necessary to
Exactly,
cope with
so,
it.
right, so trying to teach them more holistic things before we resort to medication. And some people will need medication, but, it's just kind of in our culture that that's the first thing, is like,
Yeah.
oh, well, just, here's a prescription, take this pill.
Because I always thought we over-medicate the kids.
Yeah, everyone, people of all ages.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the go-to, right? Doctors aren't meant to look at things holistically.
They aren't
So,
therapists.
right, it's stress management skills, using mental health therapy, things like that, yeah. So, does anyone want to share, if you are feeling stress in your life? And again, it can be related to the holidays or just in general.
How do you deal with idiotic neighbors? They're always making noise, doing things that irritate you. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, so that's your main stressor.
Yeah.
So, how long has this been going on?
A year.
Mhm. Have you tried talking to them?
Yes. And there's no hurt.
How has the conversation gone?
Well, they want to make it so it's my fault, not theirs.
Mm.
You know, I'm not doing anything to them.
Yeah, and this won't work with everyone, but I also teach a class on, if anyone's heard of nonviolent communication.
Well, they haven't got to nonviolent yet. Violent yet.
So yeah, so nonviolent communication is a 4-step process where first you say what your needs are, right? So if it's your neighbors are making noise, that's the issue.
Yeah.
You would say, I have a need to feel peace and quiet in my home environment.
Right.
So that would be the first part. And so you make it about you and not about blaming and shaming them, right? So that they can relate to you, right? A lot of times if someone comes up to us and they're like, you did this and you did that, we start to feel defensive. And it's better if we can feel like we are relating to someone and helping them to feel compassionate towards you, right? So you would say, you know, and trying to be calm as we're approaching the person, to say, I have a need for peace and quiet in my home environment, right? And when you are playing loud music, or is that what's happening?
You know, but what happens when you try to get a neutral party to help out and that doesn't work?
So when you just finish going through the process, so yeah, then you would say, okay, so when you are, you know, being very loud and noisy, or, you know, whatever the thing is, playing loud music, whatever it is, it's disturbing me. So, and then part 3, we make a request, and we say, would you be willing to, you know, say like maybe these certain hours, or, you know, if they do want to play loud music, maybe say, okay, I understand that you like loud music, but can we say that there's a curfew, that after 8 p.m. there's not loud music, or, you know, or whatever the situation is, right? If you have visitors or something, maybe you can, you know, let them know, or something like that. So basically we're coming to like a mutual solution, instead of just like blaming and yelling at someone, and then that makes them feel defensive, and then really they don't want to be kind to you at that point, right? So helping them to see you and what the issue is from your perspective, so that then they can feel compassionate towards you, then they're more likely to change their behavior.
Okay, it's worth a try.
Yeah, yeah. So you already tried having an intermediary?
I have, yeah.
Okay. And that didn't work.
It didn't work.
Isn't the problem with that though, what he's facing, it's not him who's the problem, internal or external.
Right.
It's the fact that possibly these people have no consideration for anybody else
Right.
and what they're doing, and they just don't care. You know?
Right. Right, and so then, you know, another of these, you know, sayings, right? Grant me the wisdom to, how's it go? I know.
The serenity prayer?
Yeah, the serenity prayer.
Wisdom is at the end, I think.
Wisdom is at the
Yeah,
end.
wisdom to
So,
know
all right, someone remind me how it goes. Yes, to accept the things that I cannot change. Courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, right?
In this case, when it doesn't work,
Right, so we try, right? So we try, and then maybe if it doesn't work, then we try to come to a place of acceptance, right? But we can always try first, and then maybe we find a way to come to acceptance and peace and They're gonna do what they're gonna do, and then what's my response to it, right? Am I being reactive? Or am I able to, you know, just find ways to keep myself peace and calm and let them, they're over there doing what they're doing, and I'm not gonna let it affect my mood or make me mad, so, yeah, yeah. Would anyone else like to share anything that feels stressful?
Financial stresses.
Okay. Can you explain a little more?
Not having money, not being able to pay your bills.
Yeah. Well, so that's why folks are coming here, right? Seeking
It's-
help?
I think it's, you know, universal. I'd say at least 80% of the population, different magnitudes,
Right?
but I'd say that is probably one of the biggest stressors
Yeah,
that people have in their lives.
yeah,
And sometimes you're not able to have practical, concrete steps to address it. So how can we, you know, process it, rationalize it, so that it doesn't have an effect on our health, and that we can take a positive approach toward dealing with it?
yeah. Yeah, so I would say, okay, like, is happening here today, right? Looking at what local resources are available, so food banks, community fridges, things like that. Where can we come together to get the support that's needed? And they say that for our emotional well-being, the actual most important thing is having community, right? And we see this also in other places in the world where there is very extreme poverty, but they can be some of the most joyful people because they are together, right? Our culture, we've become very separate and very individual, but in a lot of places in the world, it's very tribal and it's more village and community oriented. So I think the more that we can come back to that, like, and again, like even what's happening here, like we help our neighbors, we feed our neighbors. And like my friend is having people over tomorrow to make a big pot of soup to then package and put into the community fridge in South Philly where he lives. And so, yeah, it's looking at ways of how can we support one another and not feel like we're all alone. And also, like I'm talking about in these other cultures throughout the world, again, where there's extreme poverty, and you would look at these people and, you know, be like, they have nothing, right, for what we would consider. And again, some of the most joyful, it's also, can we turn to gratitude? And again, this is just a shift in our perspective, right? Even if nothing changes externally, can we change the way that we're seeing things into a state of gratitude, of being grateful for whatever it is that we have, right? Whether it's our health, whether we do have a good friend, whether there are community resources that are available, and just trying as much as possible to stay focused on those things and not on those things that might be lacking. So that's the best thing that we can do for our mental health, is to stay focused on gratitude as much as possible. And they say that that actually changes our brain chemistry. And so if you can even just think of like a couple things, even if they're very simple things that you're grateful for, even to just be healthy enough to be here in the room today, to be able to, you know, walk on two legs, to have sight and hearing, and, you know, these things that we take for granted that not everyone has. Yeah, and always, I mean, I don't know if everyone here is religious, all because we're in the church, but yeah, I'm just, you know, praying and giving gratitude for those things that we do have, and then that can help us to stay in a state to be more open to receiving that help and that support and that community connection as well.
Hesitate to bring it up, but my mom would, when we were younger, would say things too, if somebody had, they appeared to be rude if you, you know, were in a store or cut you off on the road, she might say, you don't know what they're going through.
Yes,
And so I'm just trying to look at it that way sometimes, and
yeah,
be more apt to maybe, you know, I won't say forgive, but, allow them to shots.
yeah.
It wasn't personal.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I don't know if everyone heard that on this side of the room, but, talking about compassion, right? So a lot of times when we know what someone is going through, it's very easy to be compassionate, right? Like you know, made an example of like, okay, say you're out at the store and somebody's rude to you, right? You might just be like, oh, that person's a jerk, or, you know, whatever. But if you knew what was going on with them, whether they maybe have unhealed trauma, or, you know, you just don't know, maybe they were having a bad day, maybe their cat died that morning, like, we don't know. When we do know, it can be very easy to have that compassion and that grace for people. So can we just, again, like, accept that we don't know the whole backstory of what's happening
It's
for
not easy in the
everyone, and
moment.
so, yeah, so just kind of feel that unconditional compassion, even without having to know the story. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
How about stress from the caregiver?
Is that something that you're dealing with? What feels stressful about it?
It can vary from day to day, but just, it's always hard when you have, your loved one and they're not well, and then you have to be, there's so much more that you have to give to them, so sometimes it feels like you're giving up yourself, and there's nothing left.
Yeah, so this is a family member,
Yes.
and are they struggling mentally or physically?
Oh,
Yeah, how long have you been taking care of them?
it's been going on now for a couple of years.
And are you full-time?
Yes.
Okay. And is anyone else helping at all?
Not so much.
And you're finding that you're not taking the time to care for yourself? Yeah. Yeah. Is there any way that you can find time throughout the day while you're with them?
I also work full time, so it's hard.
Okay. So sometimes you're working outside of the house, and then sometimes you're at the house being a caregiver?
I'm always working at the house because I work from home now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just, yeah, do they go to bed earlier than you?
Sometimes.
Yeah, so maybe we look at some kind of a evening practice that you can do, which, yeah, I'll share at the very end, which, yeah, we're getting a little bit close, we'll have a little more conversation, and then, yeah, I'll share some breathing exercises and some body scan, and, there's free apps that you can use as well for guided meditation, right? So a lot of people, when we hear meditation, we think, okay, we're just sitting quietly and we're focusing on our breath, and that's great, and that is one form of meditation, but a meditation can be active. So if you like knitting or painting or gardening or even walking can be a meditation. it's, if we're focused on what we're doing, basically it's anything that brings us into the present moment, right? So they say that depressed feelings often live in the past. And so maybe we're thinking about past regrets or, maybe unhealed situations that happened to us, that can all lead to depression. And then anxiety is said to be in the future, right? We're concerned about the unknown. Maybe making up worst case scenario stories in our head, or just, we're not feeling secure in certain ways, whether that be food insecurity, financial insecurity. Those things can all lead to anxiety. And so with the practice of mindfulness and meditation, it's about coming into the present moment. And so they say, like, when you're fully in the present moment, usually nothing is actually wrong. So there's different tools and techniques that we use that help to bring us fully into the present moment. And again, meditation, it doesn't have to be just sitting still. It can be an active thing, whether that be crafting. But the reason that I brought it up is it's really good to use a guided meditation. So you can listen, and that will give you something else to focus on so that your mind's not like jumping around, right? We say monkey mind, so you can imagine a monkey just swinging in the trees from branch to branch, and the mind's just going here and there and everywhere. We're trying to calm it. So listening to a guided meditation can help with that. And so maybe it's a visualization, or maybe they're guiding you, like I will today, to do a body scan or to pay attention to your breath. So that can be really helpful. And there's different apps that you can use for that, or even on YouTube is good. You just type in guided meditation and they'll have some relaxing music, and I think that's a really good tool. So that's something that I would recommend for you at the end of the day, even if it's only 5 minutes, or maybe you put it on as you're going to sleep or something like that, to then help you to calm.
Many decades ago, when I was still in high school, I was in psychology class. Strangely enough, they offered psychology in high school, which was very good, but we got extra credit for taking meditation. So I took TM, Transcendental Meditation, and it went okay. They gave us a mantra and everything and told us it was secret and all that. And don't tell anybody, but I think the final stage was what turned me off. They brought us into this room, and being Catholic, I recognized what they were trying to do right away. Everything was set up like a Catholic church, with one exception. Instead of the cross in the back, there was a picture of Maharishi Yogi. They were turning it into indoctrination instead of meditation. That turned me off right away.
And this was in high school?
We got extra credit for taking meditation. And they recommended certain ones, and I picked TM. And
this was happening in the school or outside of the school?
The meditation was outside the school, but she was offering this. I mean, she was, let's put it this way, she was a German, literally. She came from Germany, got the teaching certificate. She taught like they do in Germany too. Everybody shuts up, no talking. And it used to drive her nuts because the class next to us was also psychology. And she was a very open teacher. And you heard all the desks moving around as they put them in circles. At one time a paper airplane flew over the top of the, we had open classrooms, so they had that thing that you pulled over to close the classroom off, but the top was always open. So a paper airplane flew over, and she she went to the next room and started screaming at the other teacher. We could hear her. But like I said, transcendental meditation, I mean, since then, we've learned a lot about that really was a money-making thing rather than a meditation.
Right, so that is its own kind of organization, and like you said, I guess there was a guru involved or something
Yeah.
like that. But meditation doesn't have to,
Thankfully today, we have
tied to
apps
any
that
certain lineage
you
or
can learn
anything
on
like that.
yourself, or they just have, like, people like you teaching meditation who have no, no religious interest in anything
Right.
otherwise than teaching you how to do that.
Right, yeah, I see a hand in the back.
I just wanna say self-care is very important.
Yeah.
You know, and I had to learn self-care, and you have to make time out for self-care.
Yeah.
I don't care what that self-care entails. What self-care may be for you, may not be for me, but I make sure that I get my self-care, and I have learned the things that I cannot control, I give to God. I do have a higher authority, so I leave it there. I can't control, things are out of my control, Sometimes we try to control situations that we can't, so we have to give it up, not for us to control. But I've learned to take self-care of myself. I've retired a year now. This is the best time of my life. People say, what are you doing? Nothing. What you think you're doing? I don't know. But I'm learning to love me and take care of me. So I would say, whatever it is, self-care is really important for yourself.
Yeah, and what are you doing for your self-care?
For me,
Yeah.
I get my nails done once a month. I go get my hair done. I go get a massage. I go hang out with my friend. We'll go to the movies. I go out to dinner. My kids are grown. They do them. Those are their kids, not mine. Just living life, enjoying life,
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
exercising.
Yeah, and again, there's kind of an epidemic of loneliness in our culture. So yeah, the more that we can make connections with people is gonna be really, really important for our physical and our mental well-being. Yeah.
Self-care don't always have to come with a lot of money. Me and my friend can get together. She comes over my house, I go to her house. We have tea, we have lunch, we watch something on TV. So you don't always have to have a lot of money to do things that encourage one another.
Yeah, just chatting with a friend, going for a walk. It's really important, to know that you're not alone and to just be able to talk to someone and be heard, and for you to be able to do that for them as well. So I just I know I mentioned a little bit about the nervous system, but I just wanna go over that a little more. So we know that our stress response, right, that our mind affects our body. And so we can either be in an activated nervous system state, so that's the fight, flight, and freeze mode, right? So when we're stressed, our body's ready to run from a tiger. And so in that way, right, our heartbeat increases, there's cortisol that comes into the body, we have adrenaline also, that's getting us all ramped up again to either fight or run. And then the opposite of that is when our nervous system feels really calm and regulated. So that's called the rest and digest phase. And so everything feels a little bit slower, our heartbeat is slower, and then that's when our body can digest food and it can sleep and it can actually repair itself as well, like it wouldn't be doing in those times of stress, because it's, there's something else urgent that it needs to take care of. is always healing and kind of cleansing, repairing itself when we're not actively under stress. And so, as our thoughts will then affect the response of the body, you can think of it as a two-way street where we can use these techniques of the body to then affect the mind. So when we consciously are moving slow and breathing deep, we're allowing the body to then send the signal to our mind and to our nervous system that it's not under a threat and that all is well and that it can calm down. Okay, so yeah, we have about 10 more minutes together, so let's do some of these breathing exercise and body scan exercise so that we can feel that state of inner calm, and maybe you'll connect with one of these techniques and you can use it on your own. So it's nice to have a nice straight spine. I'm noticing these chairs are maybe, at least mine is smoothing down at the back a little, so maybe sit like a little more towards the front of the chair and not all the way back. And let your feet be flat on the floor so you can feel grounded. And let's just take a couple shoulder rolls, and again, moving slow so that we're allowing the body to tell the mind and the nervous system that this is a safe time to slow down.
This is a safe time.
Yeah. And then rolling the shoulders the other way. And then drop your head over to one side. And then chin drops to the chest, roll to the other side. Just getting a nice stretch in the neck. And then you can draw circles all the way around. Again, move slow, be gentle with your neck. And then go the other way. And sometimes we're holding tension in the face and the jaw without realizing it. So kind of scrunch up the face, stretch it out, make weird faces, open the mouth, stretch the tongue, stretch the jaw. All right, and then you can close the eyes or just take a soft gaze down. Let all the muscles of the face relax. Let the jaw be relaxed. And then see how that helps the brain to even feel relaxed. The eyes relaxed. The belly relaxed. And just feel the weight of your body. So feel how gravity is holding you here, where you're touching the chair, where your feet are touching the floor beneath you. And just start to watch the flow of your breath. And notice how just by watching it, it will automatically start to flow slower and deeper. So you don't have to try to take the deep breath, but you're opening up to receive this gift of the breath that happens automatically and effortlessly. Can you soften and get out of the way and let the breath fill you up all the way? it's comfortable to breathe just in and out through the nose, do that now. So placing your full awareness on the sensation of air as it moves over your nostrils. And maybe you notice how it's a little cooler on the way in, and then a little warmer on the way out when it's been warmed up by your body heat. So just that one point of focus on air moving over your nostrils. And this can help you at any moment when you need to come back to your center. If you need to feel grounded and more peaceful, you can just start to watch the breath as it flows in and out. And again, just bringing your full awareness there. There's nothing else. There's no past. There's no future. It's just right here and right now. And begin to think of something that you're grateful for. And again, this can be something very, very basic, just even that you're healthy enough to be here today, that you have clothes to wear, that you have a community that cares for you and is offering you food this morning. So feel that feeling of gratitude. Maybe even bring a little smile to your face. So again, this works both ways. So when we smile, even if it's a fake smile at first, it then helps to light up the brain chemistry, to feel joy, to feel gratitude. And we'll breathe that vibration into every cell of the body, all the way down the arms and legs to the fingers and toes. And let's take 3 deep cleansing breaths together. So when we exhale, we'll exhale through the mouth with sound. So let's do this together, beginning with empty lungs. Taking a full breath in, maybe lifting the shoulders up. And then shoulders drop as we release through the mouth with a sound, a long, slow exhale. And again, breathing in all the way to the top. Breathing out. And again, breathing in. Breathing out. And this is another technique that we can use if we ever need to calm the nervous system, is making a long exhale and maybe even doing it with sound. So let's try this again, and you can make almost like an O shape with the lips as if you were blowing through a straw. So breathing in through the nose, and then take a long, slow exhale through the mouth with the lips in a circle like you're blowing through a straw. And a big breath in. Long, slow exhale. One more full breath in. Breathing out. And another thing that can help us to come into the present moment is feeling our senses. So feel your body, the temperature in the room, the touch of your clothing. Notice any smell or taste. Notice the sounds inside the building, outside the building. And then as you're ready, start to blink your eyes open, taking in the light, looking around and seeing everyone who has joined us in community this morning. Thank you all so much for taking care of yourselves today. May you be well.
This was lovely, thank you.
I expected you to stop.
Thank you, everyone. I believe that Mike is going to have a session on December 27th. We'll firm that up, and information will be at the pantry. But there's not going to be a speaker. All right, he's just going to have like a little holiday get together. All right, on the 27th. So thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend. Yep.